Hey guys, how are we this evening, this afternoon, this morning, wherever you are? Hey Melanie, Snoop, Jackie, MP, Pause. With respect, mostly. I love that name. Veronica, how are you? Laurie, Cooley. So, so guys, I'm here with Antimone, Layne, a
Hello?
fellow YouTube creator.
Hello?
How are you?
I'm good.
So we're going to be delving into the Chris Watts case again. I obviously had a panel there last week with BBT, and Dana came up, and we had some pretty interesting discussions on it. And you and I met on BBT's panel, didn't we? You
Yes.
were, because there was a case that you've uh, covered, um,
Yes.
which was the Instagram case, wasn't it, of the guy that um, killed a
Yeah, the
girl
Bianca
named
Devins Bianca Devins case.
Bianca Devins, yeah.
Instagram murder is what it is sometimes referred to, yeah.
And that got quite a lot of coverage, didn't it? It was quite a
Yes.
well-known
It
case.
was international, yes.
I think I first came across that on a podcast. I
Mm-hmm.
seem to remember listening to that. So yeah, we kind of started talking on BBT's panel. You'd had an experience on another channel that we might keep nameless, but you had a kind of a bit of a bad experience there, right?
Yes, 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 I did.
Just due to the way that some of your opinions and your thoughts about the case,
Yes.
because you would probably agree with me that there are certain types of YouTube true crime creators that seem to want to have a kind of binary
Mm.
view of some cases. You know, it's either a one or a zero. Someone is a monster and someone's an angel. And other YouTube creators, I think, tend to want to delve a bit further, right? And look into the fact that this is just a human being that's gone really badly wrong, as a,
Exactly.
as a lot of those people have done, right? And I think there's always, hypothetically, going to be a reason somewhere embedded within these people, you know, that there's a genesis to what
Mm-hmm.
has caused these people to go wrong. And
Correct.
I sensed, right, from listening to you on the panel and how you were speaking about the case,
Mm-hmm.
um, that you kind of see that as well, right? You want to try and understand, as dark as it
Yes.
might be, you want to understand what
I want the
possibly has
truth.
gone on.
I
The
don't
truth.
care what it is. I want the truth. Yeah.
So that led, obviously, the Chris Watts thing came up, and you have an interest in the case as well.
Excuse
And
me. Yes.
so
It's
we
what brought
thought,
me to YouTube, actually.
same, yeah, that was,
Really?
yeah, yeah. Um, it was that case. I mean, I can't even remember, like, how I came across what channel it was initially,
Hmm.
but there was the Mummy Ramblings channel, obviously, was one of the big ones, and Jules of Thought. That's how I first got uh, aware of the case. I think Critical K had a podcast as well
Yep.
about that time.
Yep. Yes.
Um, so yeah, that was what, three, four
Those were
years
the
ago.
three for me too. Some of the main ones for me.
Yes. Okay. Right. So
Yeah, we were
we,
both there.
yeah, we just didn't know we were there, right?
Right.
So I'm really interested because I know that you kind of mentioned that you have your own kind of perspective on this case and your own thoughts that perhaps, some people might not um, agree with. There's a lot of people will disagree with a lot
That's
of thoughts I
fine.
have on the case, right?
Right.
Um, so I'm really looking forward to kind of, you know, seeing what your perspective is on this case. Just as a way of kicking off, right? I'll try and kind of summarize how I view Chris and how I
Cool.
view kind of what occurred here and what maybe caused the breaking point within him, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So, with what we know about Chris's past and what he did, his behaviors, what we've observed of him, I'm starting to come round to the idea that he wasn't a psychopath. He wasn't a sociopath. He may have been narcissistic to an extent, but it's becoming more convincing to me that he was perhaps on the autistic spectrum, because there's a really profound disconnection, I think, within him. Something that it seems like there's a world internal to him which he keeps to himself, and I'll expand on that a bit later. But I see him as being essentially an actor through his life and a really good mimic, someone that who taught himself how to behave for the benefit of himself.
Oh, that's interesting. I get what you're getting at. Huh.
Yeah. And so I think with Shanann, at that time, he was just happy to be playing the role, living the role, the 2.4 children, this
Right.
lifestyle, the house,
The script. Yeah.
script,
The script. Yeah.
the good-looking wife on his arm. But he was essentially an autopilot. But he was quite content, and I think he always would have been content all the way down the line. But I see what happened as being such a unique circumstance that someone came along that he genuinely felt lust for. And it was the first time he'd ever been in that position where he got that attention back from someone that he felt excited about being with. But because he didn't have the skills, and because he was essentially a coward, and because he was bewitched, I think, by NK, he took the coward's way out and almost the easiest way out, so he didn't have to face the consequences of Shanann and the family, and he just simply wanted to control, alt, delete the last 2-3 years and be with NK. And I very much doubt that he genuinely loved his kids, even though to anyone that was there at the time, he looked like the perfect father. And that is so interesting, how that is possible. If it's true that he didn't have love for his kids, if he did have love for his kids, then it's also interesting. How do you
Right.
explain it, right?
Right.
So that's my sort of loose view on it. So I'll be interested to see if you agree with much of that, or if you see it a bit different.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between how we see it, and that's really cool because I haven't experienced that too often with someone. Um, he does not fall into I agree into the narcissistic personality, psychopath, sociopath, none of those. I feel that he is definitely on the spectrum. I think that he exhibits a lot of characteristics of someone who is high functioning. And I just want to say this. I'm so used to making disclaimers now because I just want to say that I am not saying that everyone who is on the autism spectrum is capable of homicide. So I just want to say that. So like the ways in which he goes into like exhaustive detail about things and how he's kind of like in his element when he's doing it. For example, in the interrogation When he's talking about his lunchbox and that whole spiel when he goes into all the stuff that he brought to work. And when he talks about his work with cars and how good he is with mechanics. He even mentions in the interrogation about being good with numbers and math and leaning towards the mechanical, technological side of things. The way he rattles off dates, and he said that people at work called him Rain Man all the time. That he has a photographic memory. I would even say the fact that he apparently, this is what I have in my notes, that he didn't have any girlfriends until he was out of high school, any that were serious anyway. So there's a little bit of, he's got a little bit of delay with his social interaction, social development. He's got a fierce loyalty connection to his father, even in adulthood. His dad is still his hero. He apparently showed up on his first date with Shanann dressed way too casually, and she actually made fun of him. And then one last thing, when Shanann had a lupus attack, which she's described in I think a couple videos, she went on about how he just dropped everything and was there for her. And not only that, but he wasn't afraid. He was just like, oh, okay, this is what she needs. She needs me to just kind of be here with her. And she said she had like a really, really bad headache, and she just like lay her head on his lap, and they barely knew each other at that point. And yet he kind of demonstrated this immense patience and just presence to just let her be where she was and to kind of be present for her. So I feel that those are all very demonstrative of being on the spectrum. So as far as going against saying, as far as the narcissism and all that, I think that it's really difficult, especially online, to discuss true crime. Sometimes you think that social media would be an ideal place to discuss true crime, but in a way, it's the exact opposite. Like you said, there's people tend to get oppositional and divide into two camps, one for the victim, one for the offender. And that's just not a way to figure out what really happened in a crime. And if you're really interested in true crime, it's going to be about the grays. It's not going to be black and white. And there's going to be, the victim is not going to be perfect or should be vilified, and it's the same for the perpetrator. It's not all good, it's not all bad. They're both just human beings, exactly like you said, Rabid.
Yeah.
And I think that we get too locked into these terminology, these words like narcissism, is just ad nauseum anymore. And I think people say it and they don't even know what it really means. And someone who is narcissistic is very self-involved. They're very preoccupied with getting attention from people, sometimes or often at the expense of other people. They are all about, there you go. They're all about their own gain. They are very manipulative. And what I feel is that Chris was the exact opposite. He was very passive. He bent over backward to please other people and put himself on the back burner. And yet Shanann, in my view, had a lot more traits here on the right-hand side. None of those describe Chris at all. They describe Shanann.
Yeah, because I have described him as being narcissistic before. Dana, that was up on the previous panel, she works in the field. She thinks that he was narcissistic. I don't know. I can't decide. I mean, if he was narcissistic, he doesn't come into some of these traits that we commonly think of as being narcissistic. But
I don't see it myself. I don't see it at
yeah,
all. I'd be
I guess
interested to see what your friend, like if they were here, I'd
yeah.
like to see what they, like, you know, the examples that they see. That'd be interesting.
I mean, from my kind of amateur understanding of it, I mean, if he was narcissistic, I think it was a really covert narcissism, you know, that it just wasn't like the opposite of, say, someone like Amber Heard, who just,
Oh, yes, of
it's
course.
just screaming from her, you know, no one's in any doubt about how narcissistic she is. But I think it's possible for it to be a little bit more subtle than that. So I don't know, but I agree with you that whatever his, like, if you want to call it an illness, right? Whatever his illness was, I don't think narcissism was at the top of the list. I think,
I
you know,
think I think that he was this is me personally. I see him as having been a victim of narcissists, that he got into relationships with people who had a very loud voice, who took up a lot of psychic and physical space. And I think that that is the kind of relationship he had with his mother, and that is the
yeah,
kind of relationship his father seems to have with his mother. And something that's really interesting is you something to, when you're really delving into a true crime case, you really, you know, you start with the individuals who are right at the heart of the story, but you want to go back and look at their family relationships, and not just the first generation, but beyond that. And you,
mhm,
more often than not, you will find very similar traits going in both families when you look at their family tree. But yeah, I see Cindy as being on the left hand, sorry, the right hand side,
yeah,
um, and Ronnie being on the left, and that Shanann and Chris were in a similar kind of almost like a mirror relationship
that's
type.
so interesting. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's controversial to say that Shanann was quite narcissistic, right? Um, but and she was obviously really domineering of Chris. She was quite controlling. Um, but many people are, right? And I think that would be something to notice, that I suspect that almost anyone in Shanann's position would have come across as being quite domineering or quite controlling simply because he was so passive.
Right. Actually, I sorry to interrupt. It looks like the list keeps kind of zooming in and out.
Yeah, sorry, that's me.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Um, so yes, there are a lot of countless examples, I feel, of Shanann demonstrating not just very self-involved uh, behavior, but I feel that she was very controlling in the relationship. And to go a step further, I've always felt that she, um, let's just put it the other way, that Chris was kind of entreated to some emotional abuse by her.
A lot of people have said the same thing. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people. And it's do you see indications that that's been passed down to her on her family side?
Well, I mean, uh, you mean the root checks?
Yeah.
I mean, I see, it's really interesting to compare the immediate family of both of them. Very similar to Cindy and Ronnie, you know, where you have Cindy is more dominant and more vocal, and Ronnie's kind of more passive. I feel it's very similar, where Sandy is kind of the she's the one that's she's very, very vocal, and she's like the matriarch. It's almost like, she's the one who kind of makes the decisions about with the family. I know that Frank has gone to the media and has spoken. But there's just, I don't know, he doesn't have the same kind of charisma as Sandy. Sandy is Sandy,
Yeah.
She's a little bit more kind of she's got like more of an aggressive personality than her husband.
Yeah, she's way more assertive, and you're right. She's
Yeah,
way
assertive.
more
That's yeah. That's the right word. But I wanted to give just a couple examples of ways in which I've personally seen Shanann behaving in ways that toward Chris that I found problematic. I think the biggest one is that she wouldn't allow him to have access to their finances. Like
Yeah,
he didn't.
that
Yeah, go on.
that came up in the body cam, didn't it? He actually says that, Chris.
Yes, he didn't know what the password was. She's the one who controlled the finances, and that he didn't even have the password. He said to the I believe it was a patrolman who asked him, because they wanted to check to see if there had been any activity. And he said, "Oh, I can't give you the password. Like, she would never let me have the password. She doesn't trust me," or something to that effect. I remember that was in the kitchen. And that's a big red flag. If you're married to somebody and you don't have joint access to finances, that's pretty, that's big. And we all know. Go on.
Sorry. The question arises is, how much was that a consequence of his character, and how much of it was a consequence of Shanann being over controlling, or is it a mixture of two?
I think that they were in a pattern, and it was a pattern that had been initiated at the beginning of their relationship, where she's in control primarily, and he's comfortable with that, and he goes along for the ride, and kind of because that's his MO, and that's her MO, and that they knew that to a certain, it's almost like a toxic functional relationship. It works, but it's not healthy for either person, and it's going to work for as long as it does until it doesn't work anymore. And I think that the reason that Chris ended up having an affair is because for him it wasn't working anymore. And I don't think he really expected it to come that soon, or for it to come at all. That's going into whole other territory, but
yeah. See, I see it slightly different. I think Chris didn't know he wasn't content until he saw something that stirred something quite primal within him. Like I think he would have used the word love, I think, for Nicole. I think he thought he was in love with her, right? Whether he was or not, who knows, right? But I think he thought he was. I think he was blown away by her. And it was only at that point, I think, that he realized how discontent he was, how he was not being himself. I think Nicole brought out
yes.
who he was, no?
Yes, no, I totally, I'm on the same page with as you with that. Yeah. That it hit him in the head. Like it was a smash into a wall.
Yeah.
He lost all of his senses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just on the financial issue there, they married obviously in 2010, met in North Carolina.
2012. Oh, they met in 2010 and married in 2012, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then they filed for bankruptcy,
Right.
June 2015.
3 years later.
3 years later. Combined income of 90 grand at that point.
Mm-hmm.
They had credit card debt, student loans, medical bills. 3,000 mortgage, $600 in car payments, which took up most of their 5 grand in monthly expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yet, what Shanann was trying to put out there and advertise was the opposite of that, right? They were living
Yeah, they were living a
within their
life.
means.
Well, then they had everything that they could possibly want.
Yeah.
I feel that she was very, very focused on the material aspects of middle to upper class life, and those things were very important to her. I think there were less. I mean, you remember her closet with oh my goodness, all those shoes?
Mm.
That's amazing. That closet was pretty crazy. I mean, both of their closets. I mean, both of them had these walk-in closets, and just like the entire what was it? Three sides of the wall, all
Yeah.
with hangers, and it
Mm.
goes all the way around. And then she had tons of shoes. The kids had all these toys. They went to a fancy uh, um, preschool. They had the cars. Uh, they spent outside their means, and that's partly what got them in trouble financially.
And you do get the feeling that was more a result of Shanann than Chris, right?
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't see. I don't see. It's interesting. Um, I don't see many uh, stuff that. Well, I don't know how much. Do you have any stats on how much the house cost them in Colorado?
Maybe someone in chat will know. Guys, if you can, if anyone knows how much.
I don't see like any guy toys, you know what I mean? Like sports equipment or any technological gadgets, the kinds of things that I, just
You'd
kind of
expect.
stereotyping here a little bit, but that
Yeah.
guys buy when they have a little extra cash. Um, I've mostly seen uh, chick stuff in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
And clothes, of course, and
I think he maybe had some working out equipment, maybe. I think that was about it. In the basement, I think.
yeah, in the basement, right, right. I just wanted to point out like one or two things that I saw again as far as the emotional abuse card, and that is I felt that she was. He said that he was not comfortable in front of the camera when she did her live streams, that he didn't really want to participate. He did sometimes because he knew it was important to her, and that it was, it was her job at the time, and he didn't want to not be supportive. He wanted to be supportive of what she was doing, even if it was something that he didn't really enjoy. But there were times when she was somewhat condescending to him on camera or even off camera. Sometimes she would say stuff about him that was just kind of a dig.
Mm.
And I also just the way in which she behaved in regards to his family is huge. That after Nutgate and all that insanity ensued, that she
That was one of the things that caused a lot of conflict between them, is the fact that she perceived that he wasn't standing up for her in that fallout over Nutgate.
hold on, I'm getting my cell phone records here. There's just the thing that one of the things I loved about this case is that is the plethora of social media content. I mean, it's just, and also the, you know, the discovery itself. I mean, we've never gotten that before.
I know, right?
It was unprecedented, and just, you know,
Yeah.
I think that's one reason that so many people just, you know, it's still happening today. We're still discussing this freaking case.
Yeah, and I think some people, because of the nature of this case, I think maybe some people sort of shy away from still talking about it, but I don't see any reason not to still cover it. There's so many interesting things to talk about with this.
Yes.
You're talking about, you know, um, human beings involved in a what turned out to be quite a dysfunctional relationship, I think. I think that's fair to say. And I think one of the, whether people know it or not, one of the purposes of true crime to me is all about looking back at society, looking at ourselves, like not individually, but society at large, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it happens to be the case in true crime that you're seeing the exaggerated side of things, you know, when things go as bad as they possibly
Yes,
can.
correct. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
But there's
Yep.
still aspects that you can take from it that, you know, can make everyone more aware of what's going on in our own sort of circles, our own relationships, and how do we avoid meeting a person like this down the line? What are the flags to look out for? You know,
Right.
um,
Right.
without being a paranoid mess, right? You can still learn things that might be useful.
Oh, that's interesting. Wait, did you? Snoop says to Jackie, and Jackie said, so he had a Mustang at one point, right?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they purchased the house for just under 400,000 in 2013.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Snoop. Wow, that's how much it was then. That's interesting. Um,
And a lot of people, like, people are saying that the house seemed very cold and without personality. It
yeah,
was
it's
like a
very
showroom.
sterile. It's very
Yeah.
sterile. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think it's pretty. I would say, well, trying to reword it, the chances of Shanann having um, obsessive compulsive disorder is pretty high.
Yeah.
And that goes along with the need, with a sense of needing to control things on the outside for um, a sense of stability. Um,
Mm.
I definitely think that you know, those two things go hand in hand. And I actually read, I didn't know this until I was reading today, that apparently narcissistic personality disorder, the actual diagnosis and OCD are related.
Hmm.
Often people who are diagnosed with the former are also have the latter. So those with narcissistic personality disorder are often um, co-diagnosed with OCD. I didn't know that, and that it makes
Right.
sense. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. There's something, obviously, OCD is, it's the kind of inability to move beyond these internal repetitive thoughts. You know, that's kind of what's at the root of it, right? So you can see how it's quite a self-obsessive trait. So it makes sense, I guess, that it's related, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, yeah.
We were we're talking about the video, the Santa video.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know a lot of
Yes.
people have brought that up, and they have things to say about it. What do you see going on in that? What's the kind of standout thing from the
I
Santa
think
Claus
that
video?
it is a perfect, like this, it's like this little gold nugget. Sometimes you get gold nuggets in crime cases. And what I mean by that is it's like everything that like the heart of the case, what's really at the heart of why the tragedy occurred in the first place, and it's in this one thing. And I feel that that video, which I find extremely difficult to watch,
Hmm.
the dynamics of the family are perfectly encapsulated in that video. And I think I see Shanann being incredibly. She wants, like even to quote Chris, she wants what she wants, and I think that is a really good way to sum her up.
Hmm.
And I will add another disclaimer: I'm not victim bashing here.
Yeah.
I'm looking at her as we're all flawed human beings. I'm a flawed human being, and the only way to understand the truth of any crime case is to look at the major players objectively, and that's what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that to be hurtful or to be insensitive. I actually feel that it's important. I'm subjectifying, not objectifying Shanann
Yeah.
by
Absolutely.
addressing her
Yeah.
flaws. So, with that said, I see her being very, we're doing this with Santa, and yet her children are crying
Mm.
hysterically because they're terrified.
Yeah.
I remember being terrified as a child when, I remember going to Hershey Park when I was like 3, and this what was it? It was a bear character, and it was a guy dressed in a bear costume. But I was like, I still remember the terror. Like, it was a traumatic experience, and I knew that it was a character and it was a fluffy bear, but it still scared me.
Mm.
And in a way, it's like Shanann. The kids are scared of Santa. Santa's coming in, and of course,
Mm.
Santa is Chris, and Chris is doing what Shanann wants him to do, which is to play Santa.
Mm.
And she says that she wants him to. She says, "Where's your cell phone?" And he said, "I left it inside."
Mm.
Um, and she's not, it's like he can't play Santa to her expectations, so he's
Mm.
screwing up. um uh she's still she's still continuing on with, hey girls,
Presentation.
Santa's here, but like the kids are she's not attending to their
Yeah.
fear. And then she FaceTimes with her parents, and she's just kind of passes off the girls' behavior as, they're just kind of ruining it. And it's
Mm.
like
She's so
there's
lost in the moment, isn't she? She's so um, absorbed by the presentation of it rather than what's going
yeah.
on right in front of her.
And I don't feel that she's like, she's not she wants Chris to perform in a certain way, and he's not doing it to her satisfaction. And it's just kind of like it's just it's there's tragedy in that video for me,
Mm.
if that makes any sense.
It's a really good point that this video does kind of encapsulate something quite profound about the dynamics that were going on.
Yeah, and
Um,
it was 8 months later. That was 8 months before the murders.
yeah, this is December 2017, isn't it? This
Yep.
this video.
Yeah, Christmas Eve. Yeah.
And because I did actually watch this for the first time in a long time after we were talking about this,
Hmm.
and yeah, I was seeing all those things that you were mentioning, and it's quite apparent. But what is also quite apparent, this might sound like a strange thing to say, but just how normal Chris comes across in the video, just like a normal guy that's
Right,
he's
right,
making these odd little jokes here and there,
right.
like, oh,
Yep.
here we go, Shanann's on a mission here to make this look great, and I'm just, I'm
And
doing
I'll
what I need
help
to
out.
do.
I'll do whatever she wants me to do.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
it's
always say, I just want to say, I always say that the Watts family didn't have one dog, it had two.
yeah,
I feel like that Chris was really, the second dog in the family in a lot of ways.
yeah,
And again, like I said, that was a role he was comfortable playing, and probably didn't even realize that to the degree to which he was doing it until all
NK,
this happened.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I really believe strongly that NK, and this is nothing. I'm not saying anything negative towards NK. I don't think she can be blamed in any way, really.
no, I don't have
Um,
any. No,
there's
I
millions
agree.
of people all over the place right now having affairs. It happens,
Right,
you know.
right.
Um, but there was something about her that just, as I said earlier, just enchanted him. It brought out the kind of all these deep desires that he'd probably had all through his life, and just never thought he would ever get the attention of someone like NK. And I also don't mean any disrespect to Shanann when I say this, but NK was almost the mirror opposite of Shanann in a lot of
Can
ways.
can you say how?
Just
That's interesting.
to me, she seemed more like a free rolling spirit,
Yeah,
you
right,
know,
right.
whereas for Shanann, everything had to be in control. Like there had to
Yes.
be a complete structure to her days, to her life. Whereas I think Nicole just rolled a little bit more freely,
Yep, I agree with
and
that totally. Yep.
I think she was just more kind of colorful in her
Mm-hmm.
personality and more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's
Shanann was
nicely
quite.
said. That's
Yeah.
nicely said. Yeah.
I mean, I think Shanann was quite sassy, and
Oh yes.
NK was quite sassy, so they're similar in that regard. But I don't see any other similarities between them.
Yeah. I kind of feel that I'm looking for it here in the second confession. Um, they ask him a lot of questions about his relationship with Nicole, and I remember uh, one of the things that he says about that relationship and how it was different was that he had a voice, and that it was amazing to him when like Nicole would ask him what he wanted to do on the weekend, and he was used to just having whatever, just having an activity uh, or the plans for a weekend or a trip be dictated to him. Remember
Mm,
that whole thing about he was amazed that the day that Shanann allowed him to hang a painting on the wall or a picture on the wall,
mm,
and that's kind of a metaphor for, in a way, I think the whole relationship. But I think there was a part of him at that point that felt it was that he wanted to change. Who knows why? What inspired that? But I think that he felt more. He felt heard by Nicole, and
yeah,
their relationship was. I mean, it don't like the vibe of it. It almost reminds me of like two kids in their early 20s or late teens. Like
yeah,
kind of having their very first real relationship and how freaking jazzed they are about the other person.
yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
you get it. It comes across in their pictures, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
he and
totally. Yeah.
They both are really exhilarated, I think.
Yeah, and they look healthy, and they look like, like, you look at those pictures and it's like, and that, those pictures and the background, all the natural backgrounds that they were always doing stuff outside in these beautiful areas in Colorado. And I don't know, there's always been a part of me that's like, yeah, I don't know, it was almost like I kind of wonder if he remembers that time as if it was a dream, and it's almost like it didn't did that really happen?
Yeah, that's
Because
a
it was so
great
brief.
way.
Yeah.
That's a great way to refer to it. Yeah, I mean, let's think about it. How long did it really last? Because it seems to have started off round about the time.
Wasn't it 6 weeks?
Yeah, it was very fleeting, wasn't it? I mean, and it just happened to coincide, I think, with the time that Shanann took the kids over to North Carolina. Is that right? From what I remember.
Yeah. Um, I had all the notes. Everything written down. I forget what day, like they, went from being friends to lovers.
So he first
Um,
puts her number into his phone June the 14th. June the 17th is Father's Day when Shanann
okay.
wrote that really nice message, tribute
Hmm.
to him. And so that was June the 17th. So it was sometime around then that they started talking more. And
Hmm.
he tells NK that he's married, has kids, but is in the process of separating.
Right, right.
Um,
Yeah, I think it
ah,
happened after she left. Yeah, it was the 27th, right?
27th. Okay, so she left a little, like say a week or so after they first started talking, really. And then July the 4th, July the 4th,
Yeah, right.
NK goes to his house for the first time.
Right.
Hmm. Oh, and according to the Denver Post, Chris sees Kessinger about 4 or 5 times a week. They
Hmm.
start a physical relationship early
Hmm.
July. He tells her that he's almost divorced. Later that month, while Shanann and the girls are out of town, he tells Kessinger the divorce is final.
Hmm.
Then the first
And
phone call.
when do you have on there when she found out she was pregnant?
It was before this.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It was like
Um,
May, wasn't it? Oh, here we go. Wait. So June 11th
June 11th.
is when she posts videos or records. It doesn't say posts.
And a lot of people have a lot to say about the video. Maybe I'll just play it.
Yeah, the Santa video.
Well, I'll play that one as well. But first of all, just the pregnancy
Oh
test.
yeah, definitely.
You're right, Smiley. It's amazing how much you forget.
I know.
Oh, hold on, I need to unmute YouTube.
Puppy.
We did it again. We did it again. I like that shirt. Really?
Really?
That's awesome. So pink means...
That's just the test.
I know. It just says the pink is going to be girls.
I don't know. Just the test.
That's awesome.
And that's obviously before. I know some people think that him and NK were actually in contact before the story, before the narrative. But if he wasn't, I'm just wondering what was really going on in his head there. Was he genuinely happy with that news?
Well, you know what? I think that you know, we all know this as human beings, that you can often feel more than one thing at the same time. I think there might have been some, wow, holy crap, that's like really amazing, and also, oh my God, that's really like, that's not a, oh my God, I don't know what to really think about that. You know, kind of awe and fear. That's kind of what I see.
Yeah.
And also, you know, I think he's trying to also maybe hide how, you know, his ambivalence.
Yeah.
You don't want to, you know, if you don't want to. I mean, I think I would do the same thing if I were him. I would make sure that I looked happy, and so that I had time to think about what I really felt for, you know, especially with someone like Shanann, who would have expectations of me and my feelings. And if I wasn't on board, you know, she'd be all over it. So I would try to keep it, you know, how I felt under wraps for a while.
Yeah, you can sort of see like a second or two of him processing things, right? And thinking all those things that you're mentioning, most likely, and then he quite quickly jumps into his role, right?
Right. Yep.
Because
Exactly.
He's always thinking, obviously, what is expected of him.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he's really good at playing that part.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Shall we watch the Santa video? Yeah. Okay. Because it's really interesting the way you describe this as being something that encapsulates the dynamics. Just shout out if you want me to pause it at any point.
Cool.
Come here. Come here, Bella. Don't cry. Remember, you wanted Santa. Let's turn our tree on for Santa. Hold on. What kind is he? Okay, we got the tree on. We better go hurry up because Santa's going to be cold. Come here. Oh, man. Come here, Bella.
And again, I don't mean this disrespectfully towards Shanann, right? But it's kind of obvious. Like, the kind of feeling I get through watching this is that she's almost like got a movie director's head on or hat on, and she's the priority about how this comes across, you know, to what she's presenting to. Because I think I get the impression that she was doing it for her Facebook kind of people.
It's all performative. It's all performative. It's
And that's not. I don't mean that overly pejoratively towards Shanann, because I think so many people are like this, right? And it's kind of indicative of one of the major problems we have in the West is how we're also hooked into social media, and we're also kind of narcissistic about presenting the perfect life to everyone, you know? And a lot of people don't become aware of that, right? And they just get way too sucked into it. But the problem is, what problems can that cause when you're this involved in social media?
Exactly.
As Shanann was.
Yes.
Santa's here, but the kids are freaking out. Hey, Santa, where's your phone?
In the garage.
I wanted it.
Oh.
Santa, you gained some weight this year. Come on, Santa. Hold on, Santa. I gotta find the kids because they're kind of scared. Sit down, Santa. Have a seat. I'll try to get the kids.
Ho, ho, ho.
Here's Santa.
Yes.
Where's the phone?
On top of your car in the garage?
I needed it for pictures. Hold on. I gotta get the phone. This is hard. As one parent. I gotta get the phone so I can get pictures. Hold, please. My husband's a genius. Doesn't listen. Oh, it's cold.
Interior garage door.
It's funny because when I first seen this, I just remember, you know, like you're saying, she puts in the little digs here and there. And
Yeah,
things.
that was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, at the time when I first was kind of observing this whole case, I just found that kind of endearing about her, you know, that it was quite sassy.
Mm.
She got a little bit of a kick out of making fun of Chris because
That's
Chris is
interesting.
pretty easy to make fun of, right? But I guess the other side of it,
Mm-hmm.
the accusation would be if she was like that all the time, if she was
Right.
always putting him down,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Come on. Bella, come on. Santa has presents. Bella, you wanted Santa. I'm going to tell Santa to leave. I'm coming with you. Let me get Cece. Come here, come here, come here, come here. Bella, just you and me. Bella, just you and me. Come on, just you and me. Okay. Bella, I'm going to tell Santa to leave. He's got presents for you. Come on, come on. Chris. Do you know where Chris is, Santa?
I have not seen it.
Can you sit down, please, Santa?
Yes.
Thank you. Bella, say hi, Santa.
Hello, Bella. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Say Merry Christmas, Santa.
Merry Christmas, Bella.
Say Merry Christmas.
Have you been a good girl this year?
Say I have.
Have you been expecting me tonight? I kind of got shy on me here.
Pop up on.
I've been watching.
Papa's coming.
What's wrong with your sister?
What's wrong with Cece?
What's wrong with your sister? Does she not want to come see me? No? What did you ask me? What did you ask me for this year?
What did you ask for from Santa?
Water bottle.
A water bottle?
What I got in here? Oh.
That Bella, is that Santa Claus?
Oh, go see.
Is this what you wanted?
But that's the kind Santa brought you, sweetheart.
Cece is still crying through there, isn't she?
Yes.
Hmm.
She just kind of like left.
Hmm.
Yeah, left behind.
It's such a mixture of emotions. It's obviously so heartbreaking to see the little kids and Shannon,
I know.
but we're also trying to look at it coldly, right? And just
Mhm.
what is this showing us, you know, about the family and the dynamics?
Mhm.
Look, it has the mermaid on it. Can you go grab it from Santa? Can you say thank you, Santa? Does he have any other presents for you?
Did your sister ask for one too? Is she gonna come see me or no? No? Okay, can you hold, I think she asked for this. Can you hold on that one? got some more stuff in here, Bella. What else did you ask for?
I'm trying to fix
What else did you ask for?
What else? What else did you ask for? Did you ask for poppy slippers? Huh? I'm right here.
Look what I have here, Bella.
Okay, here. I'm right here. I'm right here.
Look.
Okay, thank you.
One's for your sister. And one's for you.
Can you sit on Santa's lap? So you asked all day for Santa to sit on Santa's lap. You want mommy to sit on his lap? Okay. Can you sit with me? Santa, can you sit on your lap?
Yes. You've been a good girl this year, Bella. Thank you.
Please.
We need to make your sister feel better, okay?
Yeah.
She's very petrified.
Can I get a picture of you and Santa? Please?
Can you open
Santa,
up
will
your
you
gift?
hold her?
Yes, I'll definitely hold her. Yeah.
I want a picture. Oh, come on. Ready, smile. Bella, smile. Smile. You got Santa. Hold on. My phone. I'm going to try to get Cece. You want to open it in front of Santa?
I'd love to see you open it.
Okay. Santa, I'm going to try to get Cece real quick.
Okay.
Hold on. Will you hold the camera for me? Come here. Hold the camera for me.
Got one kid that's 25. I did.
Hi, Santa.
Hello, Miss Celeste. How are you?
Say hi. Can you wave to Santa? Okay. Look, Santa got you a water bottle.
I did. There's something here for you as well. Did you ask Santa for anything else? I know. I see your decorations. I love it.
Can you sit on Santa's lap with Bella?
Right before I
Bella,
come
you
into
sit
the
on
house.
his lap with Bella, Cece? Here. All right, let's say goodbye to Santa. Bye. Say bye, Santa.
Bye, girls. Enjoy your gifts.
Thank you, Santa.
See you next year.
Say bye, Bella. Say bye, Santa.
I'll make sure I wave when I dress goodbye with the reindeer.
Bye, Santa.
Bye.
Okay. Ben. Did Santa leave? He leave? Santa went bye-byes.
Daddy home.
Daddy home?
No.
No, I think Daddy's still in the potty.
Oh, that's party.
Potty, are you all better? Do you want to open your gifts from Santa? Bella, open them. Come on. Cece, open. Don't be scared.
Open.
You can open it. Oh, girls. Rip the presents open. Oh, goodness gracious. You did it? What is it, Cece? What is it? Poppy slippers? Bella. Cece, let me see. Celeste, let me see the poppy slippers. All right, Bella, I'll help you. Don't, Cece. You guys have to try. Okay, now you finish. Bella. Cece. Let me help you. Now put them on. Bella, come here. Give it to me. Hey, you cut it out, Missy. Santa's not going to bring any more gifts tonight. Bye, Santa. Cece, can I see your slippers? They're poppy slippers. Those are awesome. Here, Bella. Stop, Cece. Cece, I got it. Thank you. I got it. Say goodbye to Nana Papa. Go look at your water bottle, Cece. Look at your water bottle on the ground. Bella, do you want your poppy slippers on? Yeah, that's a new water bottle you guys asked Santa for.
I'm gonna ask him more.
That's kind they had, baby.
No, I need more water.
Santa didn't pick the right water bottle out. Okay, stop. Hold on, Dad, I'll get you. Can I see your slippers?
Celeste, did Santa Claus come? Huh?
When you came home from your husband's house,
Santa Claus come?
Somebody's still a grouch. We have the
Bella.
Grinch over here.
Bella, did Santa Claus come see you? Wow, what did he bring you?
What'd Santa bring you, Cece? Poppy slippers
You got
and
poppy
a water
slippers?
bottle? Those are awesome. We have the Grinch.
Wow, Bella, that's nice of
That's
Santa
a water
Claus.
bottle she wanted.
That's nice of Santa Claus to come. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Santa's voice is getting light.
Yes.
Horrible. I think he has a cold. All right. We'll call you guys later. Hi, everybody. Hope everyone has a Merry Christmas. We have the Grinch over here, Bella, and should be a Merry Christmas over here. Come on, dear. Bella, I love your stuff. Say hi. Let me see your slippers. Bye, guys. Marjorie, just at the bottom, do you see the CD plus add? Hold on, Cece. Where's your daddy? We gotta tell Daddy Santa was here. Well, honey, Daddy didn't see Santa. Hold on, kid. Bella, do you like your water bottle? The green and white camera bed. On mine, if you see, I'll screenshot this. Hold on. No, Cece, don't touch. Don't touch. Don't touch. I'll screenshot this so you'll see mine. I forget what it looks like on the other side, but on my side, you just click that add person and invite them to the call. I'll text you after this. Bella, say goodbye. Tell everyone they saw Santa with you. Was Santa at your house?
I want to see.
You want to see what, baby?
Mommy.
Yes, baby. Thank you. So everyone have a Merry Christmas. Hopefully the Grinch isn't at your house too. We have the Grinch here. You guys have a Merry Christmas. We'll see you guys soon. Bye, guys.
All right. Okay. And I do understand that that could be quite difficult for some people to watch. It's absolutely fine. But there's no other way really to to try and really get into the nitty-gritty of what was really going on there. And it does tell you something, doesn't it? There's a real lack of warmth
Yes.
in the air, isn't there?
Yes. And I just feel for Bella. She's going through. I think that Shanann is saying that she's pissy because she didn't get the water bottle that she wanted, but I don't think that that's quite everything. I kind of curious about her. She's obviously there's something that's not sitting right with her. And Cece warms up to Santa eventually, but Bella, I don't know, I just kind of sense that there's something going on for her, that she just knows that something's off. Something's
not right. Yeah, I mean, she didn't want to, like, she kind of held out her arms to Shanann when she tried to put her on Chris's knee, right? Santa's knee.
Oh, that was Cece, I think.
Oh, was that Cece?
Yeah.
But she seemed quite wary as well, though, didn't she, Bella?
Oh yeah, in a different way. Like like Bella was more suspicious and holding herself away, and Cece was more kind of like kind of hysterical about it. More crying. But I just seeing Shanann minimizing, discounting, and even belittling Bella and her experience, instead of saying, "Well, what's going on? Talk to me. What's going on?" Instead, she's called the Grinch about 6,000 times, and she's spoiling the fun. Gee, isn't it a shame that Bella just can't have fun with the rest of us? It's like criticizing her for her own experience, and that's I just think that's really that's hurtful.
Yeah, and like some people would push back and say, well, that was just Shanann on her social media, on her videos, like when the camera was off. I'm sure she was a lot more intimate with them. But that doesn't make any difference to them, does it? The fact
Well, if anyone's going to be that way on camera or off camera, there's something wrong.
Yeah, can't deny that.
And I thought it was also interesting how she was taking pictures, like you could see the flash while Cece is screaming bloody murder. No pun intended. Sorry. She's constantly taking pictures. Everything has to be documented. I forget what the number was, but when it's in the Discovery, when they did the Celebrate dump of the phones, and it says how many photos were and videos were on Shanann's phone, and it's some unbelievable number.
Oh,
Like
really?
I don't even know how much memory she had, but in her phone, but it's an unbelievable number.
Wow. There is something, like I was saying before, it's kind of one of these problems of modern times that we all get
Yes.
way too sucked into social media. But there's that, and then there's that what's being displayed here, and what we all know about. And I know it was kind of part of her occupation as well, that she had to always be putting out these videos on Facebook and things. But like you say, you know, if there's problems exhibiting themselves, even when she's on the camera, it's still wrong, right?
Yeah, it's problematic.
Problematic.
Yeah. And also she chose a job where she knew she was going to need to do that. She wasn't uncomfortable with that. I don't think just anyone would be okay with that kind of job. I think you have to have a certain personality, and you have to be willing to be online a lot and be comfortable with that. And you know, that was something that she was okay with.
Yeah.
You know, somebody with like, you know, Chris's persona wouldn't cater to that kind of job.
Yeah. Yeah. And you would probably say that the fact that she was in that job, and we do have all those videos, and everyone's seen the videos, that it was displaying problems, like you say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like evidencing what the problems were. And I'm really, like I mentioned before, just seeing the way Chris was there. It's so hard to believe that he was capable of doing what he did. Seeing him there, you know, he just seems like a um, loving husband and father that's putting in a lot of effort. You know.
Snoop said a couple like back in chat, Chris was trying to do his part. Most husbands probably wouldn't go through this much effort. I totally agree with that. It's like it's almost like he had a job being her husband, that he wasn't being paid for. He couldn't just be himself. He had to be in service. And
Do you think?
Yeah, go on.
Do you think he was also kind of acting in regards to the kids as well, or do you perceive him as having
I
real
think
love
that
for
he
kids?
absolutely loved those kids, and I think they
Right.
loved him. Yeah. I mean, did you notice, like, after Santa left and out of nowhere, Cece's like, "Daddy's home," and then all of a sudden she realizes he's not back yet from wherever he is, the toilet or wherever, and she just kind of like, "Oh, he's not back yet." No, I feel they had a very, very there was definite love and
Oh,
commitment there.
I
Yeah.
think they, without a doubt, had love for him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If he genuinely loved those kids, like, this is a point I've brought up before. I don't see any evidence, right, of the horror, the shock, and the grief that a loving parent would have been going through in those 2 days following that morning when he did what he did. Because I think even though he had to obviously hide that, right, consciously try and hide it from the police when they're in the house and the interrogators, I think it would seep out in your body language and some of your words, regardless, right? Subconsciously, that would be evident to people observing. And then the second point is when he took the offer of the first confession and said that Shanann killed the
Right.
kids, then he no longer had a reason to hide, to kind of withhold that grief for his kids. And I didn't see it come out at that point. You know, so if he really did love them, how do you explain that?
Well, I mean, See, this is interesting. I actually did see a lot of emotion. I'll explain what I saw and when.
Yep.
But I also want to say that and this is another argument that I have for him being on the spectrum. People who are on the spectrum, there's the stereotyping that, oh, well, they don't really feel emotions. That's not true. We all feel emotion. It's just they don't process emotion the way neurotypicals do. They don't express it. Their body language isn't consistent with what we're used to seeing or witnessing. I feel that during the polygraph and the interrogation on the 15th of August, he's terrified. I see him as terrified and super nervous during the polygraph. During the first confession, during the interrogation, when Ronnie's there, I see shame, I see guilt, I see anxiety. He weeps pretty visibly during the sentencing and hangs his head down. And yes, I definitely feel that the sermon on the porch, as it's referred to, that was totally different because he was trying to hide what he knew. But again, like I think that if he was like, I personally don't feel that his flat emotion is, there may be some of it. I'm not going to, because I'm not a professional mental health expert or anything either. But I see it, I ascribe it more to his possibly being on the spectrum. And like I said, I did see, that's the emotion that I've seen.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? That we can both look at the same thing and see it
Right. I love
right?
that.
Yeah.
I think that's really fascinating.
So what do you think in terms of, do you think that what happened is the way that it's been reported?
You know what? I don't freaking know anymore. I was like, what am I going to say about this once we get to it in tonight? And I'm like, I have gone back and forth and back and forth. And there are a couple things that I think I don't completely know anymore, to be honest. I've gone from all one way to all the other, the entire different, 180. So instead of coming to a conclusion about who done it, I guess there are a couple things that I think that I wanted to say, and that is, I wish so badly that we had a trial.
I know.
I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I think that plea deals are a problem. They're becoming more and more common. We're having less and less trials. It's saving money, but I think it's doing a number on our democracy. You're having people who are taking plea deals for not even necessarily because they're guilty, or that they are responsible for all of the charges that have been filed against them, but because they might do less time, or for whatever other reason that might benefit them in the long run. They don't really get a chance to show their side of the story or have the defense's evidence. You're only seeing one side, and that one side ends up being the only side that the media reports on. And that's partly where we're getting a lot of this polarization from. And I think it is a big problem.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just looking here at the kind of most recent news that we got last year.
Yeah, all that stuff that happened.
Yeah.
God, the 35C.
And the letters
Mhm.
written to Sherlyn Cadle that
Gosh, that messed everything up.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. She kind of lost a lot of credibility when it was found out that she was plagiarizing and things.
Yes, as
So,
well she should have. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much stock to put in this, but obviously, according to her, the letters that she got back, Chris said that it was premeditated. Because this is something I go back and forth on as well. Was
Mhm.
it impulsive and in
Right.
in
Exactly.
a
I know.
rage? Or was it premeditated? And
Right.
according to obviously the letters that he wrote to Sharon Cadle, um, he planned it for several weeks, and he was giving Shanann
The
OxyContin,
oxy. Yep.
yeah, to try and end the pregnancy. He
Yeah.
thought it would be easier to deal with,
Right.
be
Right.
with Nicole. And then he obviously at the site, right?
Mhm.
What do you make of all that? Do you believe that he's telling the truth there? And if he's lying, why?
I did. There was a channel that was. There were a lot of people, women who had been close to the family. And is it okay if I mention another channel on here?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, so it was Unmasked.
Oh yeah.
They had, a bombshell live that was actually private initially, and then it went public. It got leaked. Where basically they were talking about a lot of the things they were exposing the Watts family. They claimed that the Watts family, basically a lot of YouTubers, all women, had been through their. One of them said, I think Critical K said this. She said Jamie runs this den of vipers, and that she was one of the ones who went through the cycle, and that the Watts basically were trying to write a new narrative. They recruited YouTubers in an effort to spread the narrative. There was talk on that live of there being money exchanged.
Okay.
And that eventually, when they felt they had gotten what they wanted or needed from a representative, they would get rid of them and find someone else. Like Kim Kaufman was another one. Lana and Jay for Justice were
Yeah, I was going to bring that
the
up,
next
Lana.
ones on the list. I kind of asked myself, well, why would the Watts be doing this? And the only thing I could come up with is to follow the money. I don't know, but they definitely those are people who have been in direct contact and have had relationships with the family. They claimed that the oxy came from Jamie.
Oh really?
Yes, that's what they claimed. And they also said that they would not have said that on a live stream if they hadn't already reported that. Yes, that's where they said it came from. Whether or not Jamie knew what Chris was going to do with it, they couldn't say.
Right.
They did believe at that point, this was last February 2021, that yes, Chris had planned it, that everything was it was all premeditated, and that he possibly didn't just want to end the pregnancy with the oxy. I don't know how much she was given, So like I don't know what pills, what strength pills they were. But so that's some of what I got from that. And I started changing my mind after listening to them. And because they have a lot of inside information, and I respect that.
It brings to mind the the letter supposedly from him where he's talking about if anything happens.
The letter, yeah. They said that the family suggested that he write that. And then in the aftermath of this case is just unbelievable. I mean, you had Anna, and then you had the break into the house, and then you had all these, again, like all these, yeah, I have in my notes here, and these are notes from actually one of Critical K's lives in March. She had said the family had him write the letter, and Critical K was basically saying that the family is they're that they manipulate and gaslight and use people to their own end.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, again, this whole like all the insanity that happened after the insanity is weird, right? Like, I mean, how YouTubers were brought in, and like when I first came into YouTube, I was doing a lot of kind of lurking and a little bit of participating, but I was watching all these channels, and I felt like there was like almost an extension of the Watts case happening in the YouTube community.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting. And see, I didn't know until I had the experience with the Bianca Devins case that I had no idea that when you go on YouTube and you talk about a true crime case, that the geographical distance, the distance between you and the family that you're talking about is minuscule. I never expected the family to contact me, or both families. No, I didn't even think about it. But it's true that social media, it shrinks the distance, and it's made the world smaller. And I feel like the Watts family, I don't know, they saw, I mean, I was listening to the phone calls that the phone calls to Chris, the couple of days right after the sentencing, and they were so impassioned and so just you could tell they were just devastated and unsure of what the future was holding. And Chris was just beaten down. I mean, from what I've heard, he was in solitary for 3 months, and he wasn't allowed to talk to his family. And he was just kind of, he was already in that place where he was just accepting things, and they wanted to change. They were like, if a lawyer comes to you, will you consider talking to him? And he's like, he didn't want to say yes. He wanted to wait until he knew he was going to be transferred by that point. And he wanted to wait until he knew where he was going to be. He didn't want to start talking about, appeals or whatever.
Do you think
sorry, I was rambling a little bit.
No, not at all. It's fascinating to hear this, right? Do you think that, because I'm getting the sense that he felt overwhelmed and like he was drowning a lot.
Yeah, one thing I want to say this because it's interesting too. I've been writing to an offender for 3 years almost, and this is somebody who is in prison for murder, and he's under 25 years old. He was 21 when he committed the crime, and he was in solitary for like, I would say 6 to 8 months. meaning he spent about 22 hours alone every single day. And you have to figure that in. This is a time when you've got to be kind of on your game, and you're called upon to make very huge decisions, but you're not thinking right because you're completely alone. I mean, your brain literally changes when you're isolated to that degree. I just can't believe that we even do this anymore. It's disgusting. But when Chris made that decision to plea, I'm just saying, I think it's interesting that, he was not allowed to speak to, he'd been completely removed from anyone who knew him, anyone who cared about him, and he was alone for like 22 hours a day. And that's something that needs to be figured in when you're thinking about the psychology of all this. Now I don't remember what you asked me.
Well, so I was getting the sense that that he maybe, I'm doubting myself now, right? Because now I'm thinking, well, was it because he was so isolated from his family that he made a rash decision?
Well, just isolated in general.
Right, yeah, exactly, right. As you say, it changes your...
Well, I found an article today, and there was an attorney who was commenting on that. Yeah, it was just after, it was right before sentencing, and he said, let's see, my source was Law and Crime. This is an article, and he said, there are things about the deal. This is the article now. There are things about the plea deal that he personally would never have allowed as a prosecutor. He says, I would have required a pro-offer session with the defendant where he would have sat down in order to be spared the death penalty. He would have spilled the beans on everything from A to Z. We would have known what the motive was, which we don't know right now. And he would have clearly allocated in court, got up and said, this is why I did it. Now, I mean, that's really interesting. And again, another thing is that the crime scene, we didn't even know what the crime scene was. And they wrapped up the crime, the house. They let him stay there that night. And that was like supposedly the only crime scene that we knew. We didn't even know what the crime scene was. And to make all these decisions, and it's nothing. This is kind of unprecedented how this went down.
I've heard a lot of people say that there wasn't a proper investigation in so many ways, right? And just like you mentioned with what was the crime scene, right? One of two possible crime scenes.
Right. And the autopsy, by that point, the autopsy results to some people, some journalists, didn't seem to be accurate. Like, for example, the two children were, and I'm reading this from Crime Rocket. I think he's fantastic. He has a YouTube channel as well, Nick. He says the bodies of the two children were forced through 8-inch holes without breaking bones or significantly damaging their bodies. Like, how is that even possible? That there was a lot of other stuff that hadn't been accounted for, like the analysis of the iWatch data. The time of death was not on the autopsies. DNA swabs had been taken, but we didn't have any knowledge of what that contained. We never saw any financial records. We don't know why Shanann and her first husband divorced. this is like key stuff that any murder investigation, that stuff has to be on the table and looked at by a jury before anything significant is decided.
And this was
it's really crazy.
This, for what I remember, was kind of the argument that Lana and Jays for Justice were kind of
right, and I think Kim Kaufman was also drawing attention to the things were not done properly. And of course, there were dissenters about that. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. And I think that this is something also that I've learned through firsthand seeing, knowing a murder case, very, what's going on behind the scenes, is that the prosecution has a job, and its job is to prosecute. And it's going to get whoever they've been hired to represent. They're going to make sure that they get their bad guy in prison, and as long as they possibly can, and they can say whatever, and they can actually say whatever they want to get that person to be put away. Now, what they say has to be based on fact, but you can make fiction out of fact. And that's what good prosecutors do. That's their job.
Yeah.
And, it didn't seem to me the defense had much, if any, of a voice in this case.
That's the impression, right? As soon as he made the second confession, that was it. That was it. It'd be so interesting to see what would have happened if he had just, asked for a lawyer before even.
I know, right? I know. Everybody, we all say that. It's like, why aren't you asking for an attorney? Stop talking. I know. But see, I say that that's part of him being on the spectrum too. Like he's in pleas mode. He's in pleas mode. He's like, okay, I'm going to cooperate, and I'm going to cooperate to the nth degree and please them and give them all the information that they need. And it's like, no, stop.
Yeah, I mean,
he just doesn't get it.
Yeah, and the fact that he was so willing to, when you first hear his reaction when they ask if he's willing to do a polygraph, it's almost a automatic response of course,
it's almost like he'd be happy to.
Yeah.
He's excited.
It's really strange. But of course he has to know that he's lying, right? But his habit of the affirmative response overrode anything else, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
What
interesting, calming the chaos, what you're saying about the letter with the handwriting. That's interesting.
She says, I've done a lot of analysis on this letter. Low self-esteem is seen with low crossing of the T's. The slant is all over the place. The size indicates sensitivity. What I hate to put this so crudely, right? But what sort of percentage would you put on the possibility that he wasn't entirely responsible? Or let me put it another way. What sort of percentage would you put on the possibility that he didn't act entirely alone? He wasn't responsible for everything.
I would actually that isn't
impossible question, right?
I would say more this, that I think that Shanann presented more as someone who was more likely to harm the children than he was.
And a lot of people are not are going to react to that, right? Are not going to like
I
it.
understand that.
But it's entirely valid to have that opinion if you're just looking at the case and analysing it as you honestly see it, right? A lot of people have made that comment, have come up with that opinion, and I understand why people do. I don't, but I understand why people have that opinion, right? I mean, you can make the Occam's razor argument, right? The chances of there being two parents together that were both capable, right, are so unlikely, right? But then there are outliers for a reason. Outliers prove the rule, right? Because by definition, true crime cases are rather unique. So Occam's razor has to be kind of used sparingly, I guess. But that's one argument. And it's the fact that she was pregnant, you know. That makes it hard for me to believe that she could do anything, you know.
It's just something I've considered. Like I said, I've gone back and forth. So I can. Well, I do not believe that NK has anything to do with it. I can't imagine being her and what she's gone through.
Yeah.
I have personally, I've never ever thought that she had anything to do with any of it. No.
I'm the same.
I do find it pretty amazing, unbelievable to think that there was one actor during this entire time, that ended the life of these four individuals. But it is possible that he did act alone. Yes, I really don't. I'm not really sure at this point what I think.
And it's okay to not be sure, right? I mean,
It always changes every couple months.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way, you know.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go over the very last text messages that were
I'm
sent.
gonna. Is it okay if I just run to the bathroom really quick?
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay.
Does evil exist though, Jackie? I don't know. I've been thinking a lot recently about Tabula Rosa, about the concept of the blank slate. I always believed that everyone is a blank slate initially when they come into being, and that everyone's traits derive from nature. Well, sorry, from nurture. But I'm not certain about that. There are so many questions, so many possibilities floating around. You're right, Trace it. But not everyone is born with the same blank slate. Yeah. But is it possible that people can be born with the certain traits that lead people to be capable of what we term as evil? And I think you also agree, Tracy, that Chris may be on the spectrum. Yeah, good point, Melanie.
I'm back.
Hey, I was just bringing up the whole concept of tabula rasa, you know, whether we're all blank slates when we first come into being. If
Mm.
every trait is learned from nurture, or is there what we term as evil, you know, is that something that can pre-exist, or is it all kind of rooted in our experiences and through our upbringing and our social circles? I'm
I
not too
think
sure.
it's all the above. I think that it's never one thing.
Yeah,
And it's also kind of an existential question.
yeah,
It's
it is.
unanswerable, but it's I just keep thinking about I just keep thinking about the role of mental health and how anyone who commits any sort of anyone who takes a life um, is there's something not right there. Someone whoever does that and commits such an act is not well. I think it would be kind of a consensus to understand that, and that there is a difference. This is something that I've really learned from the young man that I've been writing to, who's in prison, that there's a difference between career criminals and people who have they are first time offenders and they do something like commit murder, and there's a very different their thought process is very different. Their agenda is very different. They're wired very differently, and it's there's mental illness plays such a considerable role, and it's a big issue for me. It's something that I have discussed on my channel a lot, and the link between criminality and mental illness.
Yeah, there's definitely a massive distinction between the Chris Wattses, the Jodi Harrises, and the serial killer.
Right. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about what you said about the possibility that he actually did genuinely love those kids, you know, trying to kind of conceive of, if that is the case, how it was possible for him to do what he did. And it's not just what he did; it was the disposal, you know.
Well, I have an idea. I'm not going to claim it because this isn't my idea. This is my closest friend came up with this idea, and I think it bears sharing. He said that because we've talked a lot about this case. We actually I was with him when he's the one who showed me the sermon on a porch. He says that what he thinks was if Chris Watts, he feels that Chris Watts did do all of it, and that the reason that he killed the children was kind of self-punishment, that the children were a part of him, part of himself, and that he didn't deserve them.
Hmm.
And they were like a good thing that he had, but he didn't feel like he deserved to have.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty intense.
Interesting thought. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah. So do you think he did premeditate it, or do you think it was
For a long
this like
time,
block?
yeah, for a long time, I thought it was a snap. I was convinced by that. And now, you know, I just don't know. I mean, he has fabricated so much. Cadle fabricated on top of fabrication. It's like, and then you have the family, his family, who seem to have their own agenda for whatever reason, and they're not behaving responsibly and are just kind of, I don't know, I don't know what their agenda is, but it's hard to even get at the truth anymore because of all this aftermath stuff, and it's like a crazy circus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like maybe that's the point, is distraction from what's really going on. And actually, one of the takeaways I got from the Unmasked lives were they said it's not about what's being said, it's about what's being left out. And that's
Okay.
where the truth is. It's about the stuff that's not being said. And that stuck with me.
That's so enticing, isn't it?
Yeah, yep. For sure. Meeser Mom, you said you don't believe he killed anyone, not even Shanann? See, for me, that's a definite. He killed Shanann. Absolutely.
That's quite. I've not heard that theory before.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm trying to conceive of a circumstance in which he would martyr himself in such a way if he didn't.
And that's interesting. What with respect says is his father should have been acting. You know, they actually make that point. They say that Ronnie was, sitting in the like the waiting room, and he was like on his phone, looking at his phone or whatever, and he wasn't taking action.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
A lot of people think that Chris told him on the way, when he picked
Oh,
him
that's
up.
right. That's right.
I wonder about that.
Yeah, I do too. Yep.
Well, I'll put I should have done this earlier. I'll put the panel link in the chat if anyone has any thoughts or opinions they want to share on this.
Yeah, I agree, Snoop. I agree about him being in a state of shock. Yeah.
He took responsibility for their deaths but killed no one. Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm trying to conceive of a circumstance or a reason why he would take the
Why he would take the plea if he wasn't guilty. For one, I think because he knew he didn't have a choice at that point. He was being railroaded, as his family said, and I actually believe that. It was basically the law basically had him by the balls. And I also think that if Shanann was culpable for any of it, that he didn't want people to know that he felt that he needed to keep that under wraps for her sake and for her family's sake. That was something I had contemplated.
That'd be interesting if that was the case. I mean, I don't think anyone wants to believe that that is the case in a way. It's easier just to think.
Oh, sure.
For most people, they just want to believe that, only one person was capable of that.
Right, right. That makes it a lot more palatable to take in. But that's not what true crime's all about.
So yeah, I mean, it's
And I think, it's it can be scary to consider certain possibilities that you hadn't thought about before. But I don't know. I personally, I find it like I actually love it when I'm wrong about something, because I love it when I have a certain perspective and something completely just like does a paradigm shift for me. And all of a sudden I'm seeing all the facts in a completely different, like with new eyes.
yeah.
And I think that's really powerful. I just think that's, and that, that's true crime can, you think you have the facts at one point, and then you realize, oh my God, guess what? This isn't true at all. This is true.
Yeah, I had a little bit of an experience of that with the Sarah Boone case. I think you maybe seen a little bit of that when I was
Yeah, I
talking about
have.
that
Yeah.
before.
Like what happened?
Well, I watched the interrogation. That was obviously the first thing that was out there, and
Mm-hmm.
I had sympathy for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of tried to make the case that it was the wrong charge and it should be manslaughter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the more things that have come out recently about her actions make it harder and harder to make that case.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a trial that's coming up quite soon, actually, in a couple of weeks,
Oh, wow.
which I'm going to be fascinated to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's quite a unique case, the fact that she was and I think this just speaks to the dangers of a real proper addiction, right? She was so used to covering for herself in terms of her alcoholism and trying to
Right.
present some sense of normality that, incredibly enough, what should be obvious grief, shock, guilt about how her partner for the last 2-3 years was dead.
Mm-hmm.
The following morning, in the interviews in the field with the cops, and then the interrogation the following day, she was completely absorbed by her insecurity about her drinking problem,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the forefront of her mind rather than what the investigators would be expecting to see in her and her reactions. And she kind of dug herself into a hole because she was trying so hard to minimize her issues with alcohol, when
Yeah.
in reality that is what is
Yeah.
really played a big part in why her partner's gone. Because I still believe that she never intended him to die, but her problem was a huge
Yes.
part of why that happened. And
Yeah.
then, and because she's minimized it, she's now in the position where her only defense is going to have to be to confess that she lied about how much she consumed, because she tried to say that she only shared a bottle and a half of wine. And
Right.
if that's true, a bottle and a half of wine for an alcoholic is not going to be
Right.
enough to prove utter irrationality or not being aware of the danger that he was in, you know?
I'm curious. Meeser Mom said murder suicide. What are you referring to? Which case? And I agree. Too many holes in the Watt story. Oh God! Why couldn't we have had a trial?
Yeah. It's never going to happen.
I agree with what Calming the Chaos says. It's not just one thing, it's the convergence of many things that led to murder. And this is scary because it could happen to any one of us. Absolutely. Absolutely right about that.
And that's why I think it's always, regardless of how painful it might be to go over some of these things with a case like this that so many people have, had such emotion over for noble reasons, I think it is still legitimate to go over these cases because, as I said earlier, it's a way of looking back at society itself because there are so many people like that out there that it just never cross a certain line and it never gets to that stage, right? But there's so many people that possess a lot of these traits that we talk about in true crime. And like you bring up, that's the number one problem, I think, in our society right now in the West, right, is mental health. That is it's a bigger problem than drugs or any
Well, I think
other
social media is making it that much worse.
Absolutely. I mean, there's probably a lot of people in here that seen something pretty incredible tonight on YouTube that I just cannot get my head around. And to me, that is someone that needs an intervention. To be so sucked into this platform that it pollutes your mind so much that your rationality is so gone that tragic events in your own life become something to be used on here to try and somehow, either catfish, whether they're aware of it or not, or to win an argument, or to gaslight people on YouTube, or to help their channel in some way. It's sad, really, that it can get to that level.
I was going to say something about that, and I had it, and then I lost it. Hate that.
I hate when that happens.
It had to do with social media. I just feel like social media is exacerbating. Someone could have mental health issues to just in general, and but then social media is kind of a catalyst for it's a way to make it to that exacerbates it, makes it that much worse. And if we didn't have social media, maybe it wouldn't develop as dramatically that the mental health issues. I think we're seeing problems now that we weren't seeing like 10 years ago because of it.
Yeah, and I think it's because the collective process of our progress of our technology has outstripped our own, mental evolution in a sense. Social media and technology is growing exponentially, and we're playing catch up as individuals.
Yep.
And we're not, like you say, if there's some people coming to YouTube as a creator and they're coming with baggage already that they've not worked out.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Right. And actually, I think a lot of people, I think the platforms attract people with baggage, because It's high emotion,
Mm,
and it becomes high stakes,
mm,
and there are a lot of you have it draws people who are already have a sort of uh, mental emotional imbalance,
mm.
and it just throws things even further out of whack.
Yeah, because I think it creates a sense of fake achievement or fake validation or affirmation of your how you view
Mm,
yourself, maybe. You know, if you let it get away with you, that um, because you probably notice so many creators are always, when they're having fights with other creators, they always bring up how many subs they have, how many views they have. You know, it's like that is the currency of how
mm,
they value themselves, you know?
mm-hmm. Good word,
And
yeah, exactly. Right.
I think it becomes too easy a tool, right,
Mm-hmm.
to replace things in your real life that you shouldn't be ignoring, and you're
Right.
getting what you should be getting from your real life. You start getting it from this thing, this YouTube thing. Um, but it's not all bad, right? There's a lot of good sides to social media on YouTube. You know, it brings people
Right.
together that would never have crossed paths before.
Right.
Um, People that it's a really good creative tool, you know. Um,
Yes, Snoop is absolutely right about the dopamine hit. Yep. And that's when everything really changed, according to one particular there's a speaker out there. His name is Jonathan Haidt, and he does a lot of talks about social media. He's a
yeah.
professor, and he says that when Twitter and Facebook implemented the likes somewhere around 2010, 2011, that's when everything started going to hell in a handbasket.
Mm.
That before that, being online was kind of one separate experience, but post likes, everything just started going haywire.
It becomes the equivalent of the reality TV talent shows. How you've got a
Mm-hmm.
panel of four or
Mm-hmm.
five judges that are going to decide whether you have this unbelievable opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a correlation there on YouTube, like the amount of likes you get or the amount of subs you get is the equivalent of the judges passing you through, to give you this opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Haidt, I've seen a lot of his lectures in the
Yeah.
past, years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's interesting.
Yeah. He does a great job. I really like a lot of what he has to say. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I'm interested in what Mum is saying about
Mm-hmm.
this, her thoughts on the case.
Mm-hmm.
You would have thought he was too passive to kill, all right? And the way that I've been sort of trying to explain what seems to be from my point of view, a complete disconnect when he's doing the porch interview that you brought up and the way
Mm-hmm.
he is on the body cam things. To
I
me, it's
almost
like,
feel. Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
go on, you go.
I wasn't
You go.
sure if you were done. No, you would finish your thought.
So it's, I kind of see Chris as being someone that is so conscious of how he's perceived by everyone around him, right?
Mm.
His family, friends, whoever. Um, and I think if he is responsible for everything, which I think he is, how was he capable of surviving that without bleeding out obvious red flags? There's still red flags there to witness in the way he speaks in the interview and things. but how is he capable of doing it? I think in a way, if no one else sees his behavior or sees things that he does, in a way to him it doesn't really exist. It's not reality, because he judges everything by how he's perceived by others. So it's maybe a case of, because this happened when no one's seen this, and
Mm-hmm.
anyone that did see it is now gone, then it didn't really happen in a sense. It's kind of abstract to him. Is that how he's able to cope with it and get through it?
That's interesting.
Because I mean, let's just imagine he had gone away with it, right? If Shanann's friend Nicole hadn't come round and he had somehow just managed to get away with it,
Right.
how is he going to psychologically deal with that going
Yeah,
forward?
right.
But,
Yeah, that's a great question.
and do you think as well that NK would not have kept him around for long? Which is what I think. I think she would have very quickly got
Um,
bored of him.
I don't know. Because there was that one time he talked about it during the second confession. He said that there was a time when she had a freak out. He had to leave because why did he have to leave? He had to take care of something at the house. Maybe he had to do like a FaceTime with Shanann or something. I think it involved her, and she like had a meltdown. I don't.
Saying,
I
yeah, did she not say that she would never be number one or something, or she wouldn't come? She would never
yeah,
come first.
yeah. And so that tells me that she was emotionally, invested to some degree.
Yeah.
But there was a vulnerability there.
See, I think that
That's
like,
right, Snoop. Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you.
because I think Chris was like an expert mimic, right? He was kind of expert at playing the role that he perceived the other person would want from him. And because he did genuinely get himself into great shape and everything, he was aesthetically
Mm-hmm.
pleasing to NK. I also think there was something alluring about his lifestyle, because he seemed to other people externally to have the perfect life,
Right.
which is what NK wanted at some stage, right? Like everyone wants that kind of ideal sort of what people think is happiness. So I think there was a lot of things about him that attracted him to her, but I think once this veneer wore off, I think she would have found him to be rather an empty vessel, like just too inhibited.
Yeah, it's possible.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think
It's
she just would have
interesting.
got bored of him.
It'll be. I would be interested to know what her history and relationships, like her other choice of mates,
Yeah.
was before that. That would give you, if you knew that, some information about her patterns.
Yeah.
Good night, Smiley. Smiley.
Good night, Smiley. Meser Mom says, I believe there were others at the house during the tragedy. There are many unanswered questions since there was no trial. And the DA was coming up for election.
Oh, now?
At the
Oh,
time.
then, yeah. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. Yep. I think it's interesting that no one from her past has spoken out. Yeah, there
Yeah.
were a couple of people who kind of like surfaced, like I have her name, the woman who was the nurse, who's children she watched. Shanann babysat for her kids. And yeah, the ex-husband.
I did see that. Did you see the recent video that got put out from Nicole? I think the thing was it just happened to be
No,
in the
what?
video.
What'd she say?
I've not seen it yet myself, but
Oh,
I think it was.
Nicole's passed. Oh, I thought you meant Shanann. Sorry.
No.
Okay. I do believe that about Meezer Mom. I do believe that Shanann had a lot of mental health issues. I second that. And I would say one of the things that I've felt this way for a long time. This actually hasn't come up yet, but I do believe that it is possible that Munchausen's by proxy was part of the picture. I plain cannot believe that those kids were that sick. I just don't see it. Don't see it. And I also don't know that I believe that she had. I think the only illness that she had any actual documentation of, like an actual diagnosis for, was the lupus.
Right.
And you know what I was listening to yesterday? I found, because did you get all those files, the zip files from the county, when they were uploaded to the I think it was the county court website?
I did at the time, definitely. I'll have them somewhere.
Yeah, I didn't get all of them, but I got some of them. And I was listening to an interview with her closest friend, Lauren, because I had mentioned the other day about Lauren saying, Lauren had said that we were talking about the Thayers. That's what it was.
No.
And I wanted to see where I'd heard that. It's Lauren Arnold is her name.
She's Shanann's friend, right?
Yes. And she was at the house that day, the 13th, and she saw Chris with the Thayers, and she said how the Thayers were kind of like insulating him from her. And she said that she felt that they knew something. They may not have known everything, but they knew something. And in that interview, she says the investigator asks her about the illnesses that Shanann had supposedly had, and what Lauren's understanding of that history was. And she said the only one that she knew, like, for pretty certain that was valid, was the lupus. And that she didn't really know about the other ones.
And the kids were always being taken to the doctors and things, weren't they?
Yes.
I wonder if NK will ever do another interview or write a book or anything.
We have some drama in chat here.
Do we?
Yeah.
Why can't I see it? Oh, about the Ezra Mom's theory.
I do have not so thrilled about her use of baby wise either. I know that that is something that does come up. It's a very controversial, kind of problematic thing to bring up, but I'm bringing it up anyway. That she used, apparently some people say that it wasn't necessarily baby-wise that was the problem, it was the way that she was implementing it. But where, and I almost, you know, I kind of, it's difficult to bring stuff like this up and not have, you know, assembled screenshots and stuff to share. But that's why I'm not going to go into it in too much detail. But that she had used is a certain kind of disciplining technique with little kids, and that it was somewhat harsh, not
physical, but harsh.
Like that she would, if they were something to the effect, if they were being, they were misbehaving, or no, I think that, no, you know what? I don't want to say anything until I actually find something. I don't want to just put words in my own mouth. But there is, but baby wise is something that a lot of people have brought up. It was something that she used, and that it wasn't necessarily very nurturing. It was almost like it was more punishing, and
I remember someone else bringing it up before, actually.
Yeah.
Night Calm in the Chaos.
And I did hear, it is not, and she wouldn't let, I did always wonder about Bella's hair. Like Bella wanted long hair, and Shanann wouldn't let her grow it. And that always bothered me.
Did that come up on Facebook, did it? Or was that, how did that come out?
I've heard it and read it in a couple different places.
Right.
And what I find most valuable is, you know, think something can be said, but if something is backed up by insiders, to you know, people who knew the families personally, who was a family member and or a close friend, that's really the most valuable kind of comment that you can come across, and especially if you come across that kind of thing more than once.
Yeah.
Snoop says, I don't think that was by choice. I think Bella said, really? Aw. Either way, it was sad. I remember, I think she said in a video she wanted her hair to be like long, like the Little Mermaid or something.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I you should see like what my desk looks like right now. I have like all these notes in front of me.
I've had lives like that as well. Pages everywhere.
Yeah, I was trying not to like make the paper sound too loud, like turning pages. But yeah, there's I think the discovery is incredible as far as having direct statements by friends and family about Shanann's personality and Chris's personality, and there's the consistency across the board is really quite amazing. Like when you put all those when you put all those interviews together, and you know, I've listened to them and I've read them, you know, and like all of us have, and I think what's really amazing is the consistency when you get that consistency across multiple people. It's really amazing.
It's telling you something, right?
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that's what the investigators are looking for.
Snoop says that Shanann talked about it in several videos. Bella wanted long hair and she hated that it was short.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. And you know what, actually, what I'm curious about the videos, about Shanann's videos. Did the Ruchek family ever say that, were those ever under any kind of estate, like copyright claimed? Because I think at some point they were like, we don't want Shanann's videos being played on YouTube anymore.
That's a good question. I don't think they were.
Because at one point, you know, like every channel had them on, and channels were making buck off of Shanann's videos, and I think, and then they just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, Mesmer, if you want to come on panel, then feel free. Hey, Glamis girl, how are you?
Yeah, I agree, Wendy. Being filmed 24/7. Yep. Yep. It is pretty crazy. I think it's almost like another reality. You just kind of you just lose yourself in it, and that becomes more real than what's real.
And you can see it with that. I know it's just one example, right? With the Santa video, but you can see how she's mentally behind the camera rather than in front of it. She's so conscious of that at all times, you know?
Yeah. Oh, did it really, Glamis girl? They scrubbed them? Do you know what, actually? So I have a cat. Her name is Bella, and I didn't get her with her. I got her with her name. I didn't name her.
All right.
And I got her in July. And I got her very close to Cece's birthday. So I have her birthday as Cece's birthday. And her birthday's coming up. It's the 17th. She's going to be 4.
Oh, wow.
Right, Bella? She's in here. So she's Bella with Cece's birthday. And she was born in July because I got her in June in 2019, and she was 11 months. So
are you more a cat person than a dog person then?
Yes,
Yeah?
I'm a cat person, yeah. I could never have a dog, at least not at this point. I don't have that kind of lifestyle. Someday I would love to have a dog, but I'm nowhere there yet. But no, I love dogs too.
It's funny, I was convinced that, because I used to think that it's all about dogs, you know, they're like a dog would die for you, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a cat would just wonder where its next meal is coming from, right? But someone persuaded me that in actual fact that there's something more noble about cats and something wiser about cats, you know?
Yeah, I feel that for sure. Yep. Yeah, they're so independent. They don't care what you think. They're just who they are. And like, move over. This is my bed. They
Yeah.
just they declare space.
Yeah.
And I've always needed to be more like that. So I feel like cat energy is very good for me.
You can relate to it, right?
Yeah, and they're more like that's kind of more how I need to be, is to claim space better.
Yeah, dogs are just too needy.
Oh, I love Dieter. Oh my God, I love that little dog. One thing Lauren said that's really interesting, she said when she went to the house that day that Dieter was avoiding Chris. And that Dieter didn't really dig Chris to begin with, but that he was really going out of his way to avoid Chris that day.
Wow.
That's pretty hardcore. I mean, like animals don't lie.
Yeah. They're not capable of it, are they? They're going to react exactly as they feel.
Yeah, they know what's up.
Oh, thanks, Smiley.
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. Yes, you have to earn a cat's love, Snoop. Yep. Totally.
So are you still invested in that case, the Instagram case? Or
200%, yes.
yeah?
Yep.
What's the latest on that?
The latest on that is that the state of New York passed, I believe it said that, so there's something called Bianca's Law, and they've been trying to get it to pass, and I believe it did finally pass. It's only for New York State, and it has to do with photos and video media content that that it has to do with the photo that that was taken of her dead body and was posted online, and it went viral. It has subsequently been sent to the family over and over again through different ways for harassment. So this law would prevent, it would penalize anyone who sends any kind of visual media to anyone in the state of New York that was intended to harass or
right.
To harass them.
Yeah.
I'm just looking it up. They've been working for this legislation pretty much since the very beginning. And
so, would that apply to anyone just passing it on, or would it have to be with the intent of harassment?
They would have to prove intent.
Right.
Yeah. So it criminalizes sharing personal images of crime victims. Whether or not this is really going to work, I don't know. I mean, they're also pressing for social media companies to implement committees that so they're able to crack down on stuff like this a lot quicker. I just, given the First Amendment and how fiercely that's defended in this country, I just really don't know how that's all going to play out.
Yeah, it's the slippery slope argument.
It really is. Yeah.
Thanks, Galamis. It's always with a slight sense of certainly anticipation when covering Watts for obvious
Oh, I know.
reasons.
I was nervous.
Yeah.
Thank you, Snoop. Yes, I was nervous, but no, you're everybody here has been very open-minded and very civil. It's been wonderful.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely wonderful. That doesn't happen on my channel.
Oh, really?
No,
Okay.
which is why I haven't gone live for quite a while.
Do you have any plans to go live again?
I have been thinking about that. I've been giving that a lot of thought.
Yeah. Because I really I do really appreciate how you so obviously want to just get to the truth of what's going on in cases, regardless of if that's messy or not, or if it's a little dark or not, or if it's something that doesn't adhere to the narrative. You know, I think it's important to be able to do that. You know, and I think a lot of people can get intimidated about covering true crime the way that they really would like to. You know, there's a lot of reasons and a lot of pressure not to do that.
I know. And I think that's really not just a shame, but I think that it shuts down debate, which is not healthy for us on a societal level. And I think that, like we were saying, it makes things black and white. And life is not black and white. Human beings are not black and white. We exist in the grays.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's where we learn. We learn from things not meeting, from things not being neat and able to be packed into a nice little box with a bow on top.
With a bow on top, yeah. That's not how life is.
But yeah, yep. No, it's been awesome to delve into Watts again. I mean, I have spent so much time. I have not read the entire Discovery cover to cover. I have read a large percentage of it, and I've done other kinds of reading. And whenever I listen to a live stream that I feel is really noteworthy, I'm there with my computer and I'm just like typing out notes. And I think the cell phone records, that's my favorite part, because there's just so much there. It's packed with information, and it's just, psychologically, it's just so rich.
Yeah, I know. Thank
you for plugging my channel. Thank you.
Oh, not at all. That's Antimone Layne's channel there, guys.
Thank you.
Go and check it out. Subscribe. You've done a lot. You've got a lot of videos on that particular case that you're mentioning.
Yes. Yeah.
And it'd be cool to see you going live again.
Yes.
Just when you're bringing up the whole thing about text messages and things, that kind of reminds me of the I don't know if you know about the Christian Andreacchio case.
Yes, I'm familiar with it. Yeah, not too much, but
yeah, I got into that case. Critical K was covering it.
Yes, correct. Yes, I know.
Last year didn't end well, but that was kind of similar. You know, there was a lot of
Oh, really?
yeah, there was a lot of text messages.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check it.
Through on that. Yeah.
Wow. Cool. Cool.
It's just it really gives you an insight into what was going on in his mind at that point. You know.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's interesting because when I've heard the girls on Unmasked talk about this case, they refer often to a collection of texts of shenanigans that were never released, and they're called. They refer to them as the missing texts. And I don't know if that's I don't know if they mean missing from the discovery, or I would assume that's what they mean, but that they're missing for a reason.
Yeah, I do remember. I seem to remember the fact that the discovery was missing a few pages, right?
Well, it's 92% complete. We've
Right.
gotten 92% of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot. Most states don't give you 92%.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh, no. What's it like in the UK? If you
Good
do
question.
public records, you don't know?
It's a lot more cut off from the public. It's a lot harder.
What if you want records from here? Can you get them? Like if you wanted more stuff from Watts and you wrote to.
So that's another good question. I don't know actually, because obviously if you're not an American citizen,
How did Armchair get it?
you'd probably have someone over there would get it.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
But I might be wrong. Maybe anyone can request it. I don't know.
Yes, Glamis Girl is correct. A lot of the autopsy info was missing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Redacted.
Yep.
Yeah, and you were bringing up True Crime Rocket Science earlier. He does a lot of good work, doesn't he? I used to watch his channel all the time.
He was one of the first people I went to follow for Watts, and I still do, much love and respect. Yep, Nick's great.
Is he still covering it, or what's it?
He does off and on. Yep, he covers a lot of other cases, and he's always online. He's always on YouTube. So yeah, he's great.
He is, yeah.
I wish I was that prolific. Oh my God. Yeah, and he's in South Africa, right?
He's definitely got a South African accent. So
I think he's in, yeah.
Oh, someone's backstage. Welsh lady.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Hi there.
I just wanted to pick up on the discovery. I think it's gone on this long, everybody talking about it because of the discovery. I think they put way, way, way too much info out there, and personal info. When they phoned witnesses, they said their name, they said their telephone numbers. We'd have none of that, would we, Rabid, in the UK?
Oh, over here, no.
We wouldn't have any of that at all. Even if there was no trial, they would just say, oh, they pleaded guilty, blah, blah, blah. But like, they were giving everybody's phone numbers out and where they lived. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And I think the discovery was so big That's why it's still going on today, that people are picking it apart bit by bit by bit. I think they've had too much information, to be honest, if that makes sense.
I hear you. I understand.
I'd like to say hi to everybody in chat. I think some people think I'm new. But as you know, Rabid, I've been here for years.
You have indeed, yeah. What do you think there's still value in discussing the case?
Oh, not really. Not really.
You can be honest. You can be honest. Okay.
I am being honest, not really. I think also if there was a trial, that it wouldn't have made any difference, because his lawyers would have just said to him, take the Fifth Amendment, and then you'd get all the witnesses saying exactly what they said in the discovery. So even if he did speak on the stand, I think he would just lie.
You may be right. I guess it's so hard to say though, right? Because if the official narrative is what it is, then
right.
It wouldn't have been of any worth, right? But if there's like, what would his defense have been if it had gone to trial? You know.
This is what I mean. I think his solicitors would have said take the Fifth, or if he didn't, he'd just lie his head off. So I think even a trial wouldn't have stopped speculation.
Well, I think I don't know. I mean, I think it would have a lot more would have been fleshed out, though, right? I know you're saying like all these statements would be in the disclosure and all that, right? But
yeah,
it would have been analyzed a lot more, and I think it would have possibly given people a sense of finality to it at the end.
Oh, I understand what you're saying, but the documents give a lot of finality, didn't it?
The discovery, you mean?
That's it. I'm sorry, I forgot the word. The discovery give a lot of finality because it went into so much detail, if that makes sense. I don't mind people talking about it. I talk about it as well. I've been in your chat all night speaking.
Yeah.
I've got my own opinions, as everybody else does, and I respect other people's opinions. But me personally, I can't understand why they give out the discovery, because that's what's made it go on for so long. People picking it apart bit by bit by bit. And as I say, that wouldn't happen here at all. And I don't think it should, because if I was a witness in a murder trial, I wouldn't like a tape of me saying blah, 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 and they taping it and putting it on social media. I can't understand that. And that's what it's like, Rabid, in this country, you know.
Let's just say, though, hypothetically, right? I'm only saying hypothetically here, right? But if he wasn't in reality responsible for everything, and he has just decided to be a martyr in this for the sake of like what Antimone was saying earlier, just to defend the family and things. If he decided, you know what, I'm gonna just take the blame for everything, that would be, that would be a miscarriage of justice in a way, wouldn't it?
It would indeed, but he's not.
And that would only
actually
come out in a trial.
No, not really, because he just said the same in the trial as he said in his confession, I think. I don't think he'd waver from that, so I don't think there'd be any.
But his confessions were never under oath.
No. But he gave them freely, didn't he? He wasn't coerced or anything. He didn't have a lawyer there. He could have refused the polygraph. I understand what you mean, but you're not going to get the likes of any of the suspects that people think that they are getting up in court and saying, oh yeah, I was there. That's never going to happen, whether there was a trial or not.
But if there was a trial, he would be under oath.
Yeah, I know, but if you're you wouldn't admit to helping a murderer, would you? Really?
Well, it wouldn't have to just be that possibility. It could have been another possibility that could be a part of the defence. And I guess the hypothetical is on the proviso that he would have decided to make a defence, right?
Yeah. But he could have done. Sorry, go on.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's just say, again, hypothetically, that he just didn't get good advice and he just thought that it wasn't, he may as well just take the plea. I guess they could make that argument, that if he knew what his rights were completely, then it could have been different.
Yeah, but I think everybody knows that you wouldn't admit
False confessions do happen.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that, but he just seemed so calm when he was making them, and they pushed him, but not, I don't think, enough for him to lie and say he done it when he didn't. That's just my opinion. I know it's.
Well, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, I do think he was guilty. I'm just kind of playing out the devil's advocate.
Oh yeah, and like his dad come in, and his dad didn't even say get a solicitor.
Which is so strange, isn't it?
That's exactly what I mean. And like when he went for the lie detector, she said, "There's only one person knows what happened in this case, and it's you. By the end of this, there's going to be two of us." Now at that point, I just thought, no,
lawyer.
I'm not going to have this done. Lawyer up.
Yeah.
Not have it done.
Doesn't it just tell you how impressionable he is?
Right.
Yeah,
like
but
it's almost like he just didn't want to offend them by refusing.
Yeah, but he offended them by lying anyway, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? He said Shanann killed the girls, and then he said he did. Well, there's only one
right. One of those. Something's not. Yes, one of those is a lie. Obviously.
Yeah. So obviously he doesn't want to please them. He just wants to tell them what he wants to.
And you think NK didn't know anything about what was going on as well? Do you agree with that?
No, I don't think so. I think that story's gone out the window because of a certain detective making a right mockery of the whole whole thing. She was there, she was in a red car, she was in a grey car, she went out the back, she went out the front, she hid in the wardrobe. That's what I mean about the discovery. In some ways it was looked in too much by certain people.
All this stuff about crystals and things, right? Like,
oh yeah, and the tea and the body bag, and then it wasn't a body bag, it was a play mat, and it just...
Why did he leave that bedsheet out there? So, like, myself and BBT were talking about this the other day.
I think she was wrapped in it, and as he put it in the grave, it blew off.
Blew away.
And then he didn't have time to sort of go and chase it because he had other things to do. But even the argument of him, if he didn't kill the girls, he put them in the tanks.
I know, right?
There's no denying it, because when they said, where are they? He
knew, right, exactly. Yep.
He knew which tank they were in. So it's him and only him that put them in there, in my opinion. And you've got to be so heartless to do that. So heartless.
And I've said this so many times, right? But it really struck a nerve with me, the fact that he was able to eat a pizza not long after marking on the map where they were.
And he also said, after the porch interview, and everybody had gone, that he went in the house, sat on the stairs, and was laughing his head off.
Really?
Because he thought everybody had fallen for it. That I don't know where I heard that, but I heard that he went back in and sat on the stairs and was laughing. But also, I know I've said that he planned it, it was premeditated.
Oh, do you think so, yeah? So you think he was telling the truth to Cadle?
Yeah, because of the oxycodone and the holiday. But I don't think he planned it that night, because it would have been planned out. Do you know what I mean? If you're thinking about it for weeks, you get it down to the last detail. And if she comes back off her flight that late, then you think, oh, I'll do it next week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. I just can't see why he would lie if he didn't. Why he would say he premeditated it if he didn't. You know,
I think he did premeditate it for that night and run out of time. But anybody with an ounce of sense would think, I'm not going to have time to do everything. I'll leave it till next week, because he could have done it really any time, couldn't he? And he could have even gone out there and dug the grave well before time. But it seems like he didn't.
I don't think he did, because it was such a shallow grave. I just get the feeling.
Exactly. So I think either he planned it and just rushed it, or it was the spur of the moment, he went just berserk.
I've had some people telling me that they think he had a psychotic break. I don't really.
That's what I thought too for a long time. Yeah, I did. Now I'm not sure.
But also he had the where to do all to take the bodies with him, and you know, when you have a psychotic break, you forget nearly everything, and he had enough time from his home to the well to think about it and like sort of snap out of it.
You don't just snap out of a psychotic break.
No, but right, I understand what you're saying, but wouldn't his workers have picked up on a psychotic break when they got there? He wouldn't have been acting normal. If you've had a psychotic break, you would be, I don't know.
I know what you mean.
You wouldn't be normal. You wouldn't be acting normal. You would be still having a psychotic break, which I would have thought somebody would have picked up on.
And yeah, I agree, Glamis. No proof that he had help.
No. Right, I'm going to jump down. I only jumped on for 2 seconds.
Well, I appreciate it.
Just to like give my thoughts on it.
Yeah, it was good to meet you.
And you. Very good. I know people have different opinions. They always will. It doesn't matter. Because I don't think we'll ever get to the truth anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, you're right.
We don't know.
And nothing said is going to change what he did. And the fact that the poor family have had to go through all this, and then poor little girls, what happened.
Yeah, it's always the kids that suffer for the adults' dysfunction, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So on that note, I'm going to leave y'all. Nice to meet some new people tonight in your chat.
Cool. Yep.
Thanks for letting me on.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
And I'll catch you next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Welsh lady.
Okay, thank you.
Talk to you again, all right?
Thank you both. Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye now.
Rabid, you're going to have to boot me off. I can't get on.
Oh, sorry. This damn StreamYard. Well, good night, Welsh lady, okay?
Good night. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Yeah. There's just still so many unanswered questions, isn't there?
I know.
It's hard to it's hard not to think about it. Is he still up in Wisconsin?
Waupun, yes. Yep.
Chilling news.
I was gonna say, Glamis Girl is lives in Phoenix, where the hotel was that Shan left right before. That's where she was before she got back home that night.
She was there for work, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Let's play this video. I'm not sure exactly what's. I think it's.
Oh yeah, I want to see that.
Secrets are being revealed about Chris Watts, the dad who brutally killed his pregnant wife and their 2 adorable daughters.
Daddy is a hero.
Did he admit to you that he murdered his family?
He absolutely did.
Sherilyn Cadle was fascinated by the case and started exchanging letters with Watts. Eventually, she started visiting him at a maximum security prison in Wisconsin. She spoke with Anne Mercogliano.
What was it like to meet him in person?
Very surreal. At times when he would talk about the murders, his eyes would turn so black. He just would get a different look on his face, and he talked about it so nonchalantly, like, you know, going down to get a cup of coffee.
Watts' letters are filled with shocking confessions he never told the FBI, including that he had planned the murders for weeks and that he had secretly given his wife the painkiller OxyContin to end her pregnancy. He thought that would make it easier to leave her to be with his mistress, Nicole Kessinger. The reason the medical examiner found OxyContin in Shannon's system is because I gave it to her. I thought it would be easier to be with Nicole if Shanann wasn't pregnant.
He was very mesmerized by her. He just said in his letters that had it not been for her and the power that she had over him, she pulled at him constantly, that his family would still be alive today.
Watts murdered 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Cece at the oil field where he worked. But in his letters, he reveals he had tried to smother them hours earlier in their beds, but failed. I'm not sure how they woke back up, but they did. It makes the act that much worse. Cadel and her letters are featured in the Lifetime docu-series Cellmate Secrets, Chris Watts.
Do you have a sense of how he's doing today?
I don't think he's doing well right now. He has finally realized that he's going to be there for the rest of his life.
That made me think a little bit about what you were saying earlier, that your friend was suggesting that he kind of seemed to want to punish himself. You know? Just the fact, with the extra confessions that he's making, it's like, why? You know, when he didn't have to say those things. Is it a kind of way of, you know, punishing himself so everyone thinks the worst of him?
mean, I've learned a lot about the media through the Bianca Devins case. Just because the media says it does not mean that it's true. So I don't trust Cadel. I lost major respect for her when I found out that she plagiarized. That made her absolutely untrustworthy to me. That's lying. Passing off someone else's thoughts and writing as your own. And we know now that Chris lies a lot. And that's why I kind of felt like everything was up in the air after a certain point, because there was like no foundation anymore. And it's almost like there were so many lies by so many different people that it was hard suddenly to get any traction whatsoever in any facts anymore. And I think it's almost like that was done on purpose to obscure truths. And just a note about the media doesn't even necessarily know when something isn't true. Believe me.
Yeah. Sounds like
They
you
just
speak from
report.
experience.
Yes, they just report what prosecutors say. They report what family members say. What so-called authorities report, but you have to look at the authorities that they're citing.
Because from what I remember as well, Cadel went on Armchair Detective and was saying all this bizarre stuff, you know, like...
Yeah, that's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So, Armchair Detective, yeah.
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 And it wasn't like she just picked a few sentences here and there in her plagiarism. It was like, it was a huge amount of
I mean, I don't understand if she was really serious about getting some truth, but she couldn't write worth a damn, then why didn't she have a ghostwriter write it for her? Like, why did she have to? She got in her own way. She messed it all up. Like, you know, that I don't understand it. It sounds like she's a scam artist. She is not. She's not a true crime person. She's not a writer. She's not someone who's investigating a crime in a genuine way. She's a scam artist. And that's really a shame. That's a shame.
It is, yeah. I mean, she got so much attention, and like you say, it just muddied the waters because no one can trust what's come out from her side.
No, I don't. I don't. No.
Oh, with respect, says she was going bankrupt. That's why she pushed the book.
Yeah, and that's weird. You're not. Well, I guess she thought she was going to make some bank on the book, but good luck with that. She was going with. I know the publisher she was going through, and they have a shitty reputation. They're scammy. I believe it was Dorrance Publishing. They have a horrible reputation.
Yeah. Glamis says Nicole Atkinson will be traumatized the rest of her life. She's the biggest reason Chris Watts is where he belongs. His faulty coping skills led to this tragedy. He chose Shanann. It was his cross to bear.
Oh, you mean as a partner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that.
It just feels.
I hear that.
It feels like such cowardice that was behind his actions because he just simply couldn't deal with the consequences, you know? And he just.
Well, but then we're still speculating about motive. We still don't know what the motive was.
True. I mean. Well, I mean, to me, I believe that the motive was because I don't think he had the connection to the kids that a lot of people do think, and that you think yourself. I think the motive was just to erase the problem of how to be with Nicole without all the extra problems attached to it.
Right. So for me, that would not. That motive doesn't apply to because I have a whole different.
Yeah.
Theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
And what's annoying is I don't think we're ever going to know.
I know.
Right?
Well, what always makes me just the truth of this is just amazing is that he's the only one who knows. He is the only one who knows for sure.
And there's no way he could tell the truth now because, like you say, he's lied so many times. What could he do that's going to convince anyone that it's the truth?
Yeah, right. He could have told the truth one of these times. It could have been one of the 3 or 4 confessions. Yeah, it's crazy. But he knows. And that's why I started writing well, it's part of the reason I ended up writing to Brandon was because I wanted to know what happened. And he was the only witness to his crime. And I lucked out. I got a good sense for who he was and the kind of what his MO was before 3 months before I started writing to him. But he's somebody that he tells the truth in spades, and that's I just feel very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, so
but
many
that's partly why I wrote to him, because I knew I was going to get, I was going to have a genuine connection, and he was going to, tell me the truth.
I think so many people would love to be in that position, to get an insight into, what's gone wrong that's led to such a outcome,
Like there are other offenders that I've thought about writing, but I know that I know I'm not going to get the truth from them, that they're not really, I can tell that's not how they're wired. And there's no point. There's no point if they have to be at a certain place, like within themselves. And I don't, like, I've considered writing to Chris Watts, but I don't. It's like, well, what's the point? It's just a waste of time if you're just gonna get BS. There's no point.
You can't filter it, can you? Because of what's been proven about him, right? That there's no way to put any weight on his words.
Right. So yeah, to me, I kind of like, you know, there's no, I don't feel like I'd be getting anything from that. That's probably why I haven't.
And it feels like Carol just didn't really care about that aspect of it, right? She wasn't in it for that reason.
No, I think she's, you know, it's weird. In a way, she's, you know, sort of, she's not really a law abider herself.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, if you're committing plagiarism and you're collecting money for words that you didn't write, you're not an honest. She's not an honest person, and that's. Yeah, that's like, it's like you have Chris's lies, then you have her lies on top of that, and it's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, thanks, Carol.
I need to feed my cat.
Yeah, we should draw this to a conclusion. It's been really interesting.
It has been awesome. It's been great. And again, your audience is fantastic. I've really enjoyed everybody's comments and contributions.
Absolutely. Yeah, everyone's been respectful in here. It's been cool. And I like these. They're not easy conversations to have all the time when it comes to true crime. And this is obviously one of those types of cases. But I think it's worth talking about. I still believe that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I hope you, as I say, I hope you, you know, start doing lives yourself.
Thank you.
Be over.
Thank you. Awesome. Awesome.
And hopefully we'll talk again at some stage.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me on tonight. This was fantastic. I really enjoyed myself.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You do a great job. You do a great job here.
You're too kind. It's always you always need someone to delve into a case with, though. It's hard to do on your own all the time, you know.
Yep.
It's good to, and I really enjoy it as well. You know, when you don't both see a case exactly the same, you know, because it gives you a chance to question some of your own prejudices or some of your own opinions and test it yourself. Yeah. All right, Antimone. Till next time.
Have a great night, and have a great night, everybody in chat.
Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you.
Good night, everyone, and enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk again soon.